Hello everyone, friends and subscribers, Colonel Wisdom back again. This is going to be a response to a response. This is going to be a response to Love MzLea, the young lady I was addressing in my previous upload, where we were both talking about Miss Prophet. It's going to be a response to her, and I'm going to touch up on some things that she mentioned in those uploads because, excuse me, because as she said that she was concerned with being misunderstood. I do not like being misunderstood either, and I'm going to address some of that. I wanted to start off with the biggest thing here. In an attempt to refute me, she brought up the assumptions, generalizations, and judgments I have made about Miss Prophet and about men in general. Well, I want to start off by saying I have no problem with assumptions, generalizations, or judgments, or the people who make them, so long as they're backed up with something that's tangible and something that has substance or logic to it. But if there's something that's based all in emotion and all in anger, then it's stuff that I'm not going to take seriously and that I'm going to refute. But just the assumptions and judgments and generalizations themselves, that's something I have no problem with in an arena such as this, where, as you said, Leah, we're talking about opinions, not so much irrefutable facts, but opinions and worldviews. So in the arena like that, then assumptions and generalizations and what's the other one? Assumptions, generalizations, and judgments. I got no problem with that. Just back it up with something. Matter of fact, I'm going to have I'm going to have two videos in this description box right here. One of them is going to be the dumb and intelligent rant, or a video uploaded by the Black Authority, which explains why I do what I do more eloquently than I ever could. The second video I'm going to have in this description box are going to be one of my classic uploads, the horse shit of I don't judge people. Not saying Miss Prophet, Freudian slip. Not saying MzLea that you are full of horseshit or bullshitting or whatever when you say you don't judge. I'm just saying that, that's just typical 19-year-old talk. That's That's the idealism talking, and I used to be somewhat like that in my regard until I started maturing and realizing that making judgments about people is how you save your life and how you preserve your life to be as high quality as you can be by making judgments and generalizations and learning from experiences. That's why I was saying the whole thing about you not being in touch with reality. It wasn't meant to be insulting or condescending. It was just, I was there, a little while ago, and I could relate. That was essentially, that's why I mentioned my age and the fact that I am married now, essentially, and that I'm very happily married. That's part of why I did that. But anyway, getting back to judgments and assumptions and why I have no problem with them. In our community, we enable stupid behavior, and it's starting to kill us. We're refusing to judge, and we just keep enabling nonsense, and I think that needs to stop. Which is why, as I said, if you put out a garbage personality, don't be upset if you're attracting garbage to yourself, because the themes of Miss Prophet's videos is that is her experiences with black men. But here's the problem, though. If she presents herself as somebody who, and in her own words, she is immature and bitchy, if that's what you put out, what you're going to attract isn't going to be high quality. So when you say, well, I'm just thinking about the message but not the messenger, in cases like this, in an arena of opinions, you really do have to think about the messenger, actually, because you have to see if their opinions are valid. If they say, well, I'm just around men who have all these negative character traits, but you see this is a person who has negative character traits themselves, maybe they're responsible for what they're attracting, and it's not the fault of a group of people. Because there are collective flaws that groups of people have. And yeah, that may seem like a generalization or a judgment, but it's a fair judgment and it's a fair assumption. There's some assumptions are fair, like the one you said where I sounded annoyed about people thinking I'm from an all-white community or that I'm half white. That is actually a fair assumption given my phenotype and given how and given my demeanor and also my interests. Not going to go too much in my interests. If you want to know more about my interests, you could go to my videos titled The Concept of Genderqueer and my response to Ranger 34, in case you're more curious about what I'm into pop culture-wise and philosophy-wise. But, regarding the assumption that people often make about me, about my background, that's actually a fair assumption. Why is it a fair assumption? Because most people are sheeple. Most people are products of their environment. Most people don't look into themselves, and they're not introspective or observant, and they don't have the spirit of resistance, which is another reason why I do what I do. Black people, collectively speaking, do not have the spirit of resistance. We just let things happen, and we just allow garbage and stupidity to reign in our community, and we see what it's doing. And this is both genders. This is not a black woman thing or a black man thing. I don't think one group is better than the other, which is why I was telling one of my subscribers that that this really isn't a gender war. The soul of it is a culture war. But because black women, being the double minority, are protected and so shielded by white liberalism and political correctness, two things that are destroying the community. If you speak out against these things, you're seen as hating black women, and that's not really it. But because women are very emotional and they cannot, and a lot of times they can't see past their emotions and what they want and just look at things logically and rationally, you're seen as bashing black women. Which leads me to my next point. All those assumptions I made about Miss Prophet, they're actually backed up with something tangible. Because if you actually paid close attention to those screenshots, I wasn't just highlighting the disrespect. I was highlighting the timeline of my comments. I posted those comments on her Black Women Want Thugs video part 1 weeks before this girl even went viral. I was exposed to her offensive stupidity weeks before anybody knew who she was. Now, am I saying that to make me sound special? No, but just that, essentially I was going to enable this stupidity. But when I see people like you, people who do have intact brain cells trying to encourage this woman to speak, then I have something to say, which is not saying that, I'm not saying she's not entitled to freedom of speech. She is, but she's also, she also shouldn't be encouraged. Now, I'm going to put this back up here. I had this back in my original video, but because I have a feeling that you didn't read these thoroughly, I'm going to put these back up. Not all of them, just what I said is B-Val here, because as I said, these two posts I did on her on one of her videos, they just really speak volumes. Now, I know this says 1 second ago, and let me explain that. As I was saying, I was blocked as Kernel of Wisdom, and I was figuring she'd eventually block me as B-Val once she figured out that I control both of those accounts. Then again, I figured she didn't have the cerebral fortitude. But when someone publicly acknowledged that B-Val and the Kernel are both me, I figured that if I'm responding to this person, I would need to screenshot my comments immediately before we get ripped down. Oh, that's another thing that I neglected to mention. All the people calling her, ugly and stupid and ghetto and just posting like inflammatory hate speech to her. I saw this comment by a user on another website talking about her. They said that they went to refute her arguments and her claims logically and civilly, but she took his comments down and left up the comments of people calling her ugly and ghetto and stupid, etc. So yeah, that really says a lot. I don't know if I said that in my previous upload, but I just want to get that out again. Moving on. So yeah, there's you say that I make generalizations and judgments and assumptions, and you're damn right, I do, and I will continue to do so because most assumptions that I make are actually backed up with something of substance, and they're backed up, I could just back up what I say essentially. And if people think that I sound like a white person or whatever, again, fair assumption. It's not something I'm going to get all emotional about because I know that most people are sheeple and most people just copy everything, and they don't dare to be their own person. So and I caught a lot of hell for that. You want to tell me more about you? So I'll tell you stuff about me. Yeah, I'm from the black community, and I caught hell for the fact that I didn't care about Tupac or Biggie Smalls and this was prepubescent. I'm talking about prepubescent years. This was elementary school when all this happened. So we weren't even supposed to be exposed to this stuff. But again, because they had parents that accepted black degeneracy and they exposed their kids to it, and so to their kids that this was black culture and that they should be proud of it, that's what they thought in their brains. My family didn't think that way. I was taught to be my own person and to think for myself and to be my own unique individual and to be whatever I wanted to be. So yeah, I just sort of went with that. But I would get a lot of flack for it at school, and even some black adults would have an adverse reaction to how I speak and the things I was into. But that's just a consequence that I'm willing to accept. I'm not going to change who I am to appease people. I don't care if they're my people. If I don't see it as beneficial to me and it reflects what I'm about, I'm going to keep doing it. Most people are not that strong-willed, which is why it's a totally fair assumption that I came from an all-white neighborhood. The only reason I refuted that in my previous video is because I noticed that people will take my appearance. Well, back when I showed my face, I was getting death threats and all types of crazy shit, so I had to stop showing my face. But when I used to, I would get a lot of inaccurate assumptions made about me whenever I'd want to speak about black issues. A lot of people would think, because of my phenotype, that I was a first-gen biracial person, which I'm not. A lot of people would assume because of the things I'm into that I only like white men, or that I have nothing but white friends and all that crap, which isn't true either. So again, if somebody makes inaccurate assumptions about me in order to discredit my arguments, that's when I'm going to get a little annoyed and correct them if it's incorrect. If it's incorrect. But does that mean it's not a fair assumption? No, it doesn't. It's very much a fair assumption. But also to address what you think I said about men. I never said all men want you to contribute to the household equally, because you must have forgotten when I said that my husband earns more money than me, and that if we have a child, I'm going to stay home for a while. But I mean, once the child gets to a point where he or she is autonomous and can use the stove and or at least use the microwave or cook for themselves, like say around the adolescent period, it's really not going to be much purpose for me to stay home, because then that child will learn to contribute to some of the chores, or that child will have plenty of snacks to hold them up until dinner's ready. Or I'll be able to prep dinner in advance and then cook it very briefly after I come home from work, later on in the marriage. But as far as staying home the rest of my life, it's not going to be necessary, in my opinion. And a lot of women are saying that it's not necessary. Now, you say that's a religious thing with you, and that's cool. I could totally respect that. I didn't know that was due to your religious beliefs. If it's going to be due that, yeah, you could probably find some guy who's like heavily into the Bible who's going to, accept that. But I could tell chicks like Miss Prophet, they're really not heavily into the Bible, just because they say it is so is so obvious. And like I said, I can back that up with other things, but I'm not going to do that because that wasn't the primary reason I'm responding to you. So yeah, you did misinterpret me. I never said that all men want you to contribute equally. The point I was trying to get across is that once you enter a relationship and there are no children involved and there is no marriage involved yet or talks of marriage, if you enter the relationship with the attitude of everything this man has and accomplished and all the fruits of his labor are automatically mine because I'm the woman, then that's not going to be appealing to most men. And they're going to show you how it isn't appealing to them in their own ways that can potentially hurt you. Which is why I decided to say what I had to say. So yeah, I never said, because in this day and age it's not that possible for couples to contribute equally, like literally, because men, they tend to pursue the harder sciences and get the more dangerous jobs. So that essentially means they earn more money than women, collectively speaking. So it's natural to want somebody who earns more money. But if you just walk into the relationship just thinking, well, yeah, everything you worked for is mine because I'm the woman and entitled to it, then it's just not going to be received well by most men. And yeah, there's some men who are going to receive that well, but keep in mind, I'm talking about the majority. Majority rules, as they say. And if you want to be married, you have to keep your finger on the pulse of what the majority of men want. Not across the board, because sometimes it could be, it could be cheesy or not important or trivial or something that doesn't benefit you or something that you can't control. But for the things you can control, you have to keep that in mind. Just like when an obese person says something like they say, oh, well, I'm going to get married because there are men out here who love obese women. Yeah, but that's not the majority of men. And what type of men are they? Are they men who are desirable? Are they men who are compatible with you? Are they men who are going to bring things that are satisfactory to you? You got to think about those. You can't just take everything as face value. Well, I like this, or I want this, and I don't want that, and I don't like this, and therefore that's just how it is. If you go through life like that, you're going to find that things aren't going to go your way if you don't, bend a little bit in some areas. That's all I was going to say. And about me being rude about Miss Prophet, yeah, she dissed me. I had evidence to back that up. So why should I not be rude about her? Especially since, as I said, her being rude to me, I could actually, that's included into the things that I could actually back up with evidence, that support all of the assumptions I've made about her. And about me saying how she probably hates white people. Again, I was exposed to her nonsense weeks ago and listened to those videos filled with, a bunch of hate speech, and also read her comments that were filled with hate speech about whites. So, again, another assumption, another fair assumption on my part. I would be really, really shocked if she interacted with whites outside of any job she might have. And yes, I'm going to continue saying that because she really seems like she's out of it. She has a job doing anything, that's awesome. But I really doubt she interacts with whites like that at all. Just by what she says. And yes, again, fair assumption, an assumption I'm going to keep making about her and people like her. I'd like for you to check out the videos in my description box. If you don't, whatever. But just know that what I said, I stand by, and it was not meant to be personal. And that's all I gotta say. Colonel Wisdom out. See you later.